everyone, anyone who's watching, welcome along. Just trying to get my audio levels right before we start. So we'll get going in about 4 minutes or so from now. So if you're watching the recorded version, you might want to skip on about 4 minutes from now. But hopefully we'll be getting started soon. Well, that looks like about 7 o'clock to me. It's doing it again. My apologies for the audio. Every time, no matter what I do to try and get the audio level right, for some reason, once we start streaming, it goes all over the place. Can't figure that one out. Anyway, let's not get too stressed about that. Hopefully the audio levels will settle down. Hey, Alan, nice to see you. Wendy, you're watching on the big TV with Chromecast. Good stuff. Nice to see you guys as well. I was thinking about you earlier today, actually, when I sold a telescope. So just quickly, the telescopes are due in later this month. And when we do that, we're going to have a telescope session out here for anyone who wants to come along and learn more about how to use their telescopes, how to buy a telescope, that kind of stuff. So we're definitely still a go with that. Sounds all right here. Thank you for that. Honestly, it is an ongoing problem with the audio level. But for some reason, YouTube seems to take a while to settle down for my videos. Don't know why that is. Anyway, doesn't look like we've got too many people in tonight. Maybe a few more joining now. Happy Easter, everyone. That could be a big part of it. A lot of people doing the Easter thing instead. So let's go through the quick housekeeping stuff first. A bit of news to talk about. Maybe we might have some questions and answers tonight, a few other miscellaneous things, but let's just see how it goes. One thing I should tell you, back to the technical issues, my streaming software has been crashing a little bit. If you lose me for any reason, bear with me, try again in a few minutes, and I'll try and get back online, but I'm having some trouble with my software crashing. I've simplified everything. I've done away with a few of the bells and whistles to try and pin it down. Hi, Wendy and Vienna. Nice to see you guys here. Don't let me forget. I want to come back to you guys a little bit later on. Lucas, hi. Thanks for joining in. Oh, Lucas, you came in earlier today with your grandma. Thank you for coming back. And thank you for, I think you subscribed. Did you? Awesome. Casey, nice to see you. Thanks for joining in. See, we are getting a few people now. Nice. Oh, you're at work, Casey. Good on you for tuning in from work. Okay, so let's carry on with the housekeeping. The Zoom. The Zoom meeting is open. The details are down there. Anyone can join in. I thought it would make sense to start opening the Zoom meeting a little bit before we go live. So in the future, I'll do that. I'll open the Zoom meeting up with at least 10 minutes before we go live. So if anyone wants to join in, and it will stay the same, at least for now, those details. So if you want to save those details, it's the same login every week. Also with the Zoom, this bit over here, the plan is to try and get the Zoom meeting come up on a little window over to the side. At the moment, it's only showing me because I'm the only one in the Zoom meeting. But my plan is that anyone in the Zoom meeting, we can have you guys just kind of sitting here, and then anyone who wants to just chip in at any time and talk can do so, and you will magically appear up here, so it can be more like an interactive chat. So that should, in theory, work. So if anyone wants to join the Zoom meeting, please do that. You don't have to join in and be part of the conversation, but it would be nice to have some people in there if you want to do that. Remember, if you do join the Zoom meeting, then you need to be watching and listening via Zoom, not on YouTube. Otherwise, there's going to be a conflict and a delay for you. One other thing for people in the Zoom meeting, I'm hoping that you guys might be able to help me out with the chat a little bit. I'm having trouble keeping up with all the chat messages, and sometimes I get a little bit behind. So if we do get some people in the Zoom, we can talk about that a little bit more later. I should also point out that my Zoom meetings that I've been doing with all the overseas groups are kind of drawing to an end now, now that everyone overseas is starting to get back to a bit more life as normal. But I am keen to be doing more Zoom meetings here in New Zealand with schools and possibly other groups, but mainly schools. So if you know some teachers that might be interested in having a remote learning session with their classes, we'd love to have more of that happening. So Casey, you're on board the ferry. Nice. Cool. Lucas is asking how long I'll be streaming for. Usually about an hour. It just kind of depends on how things go, really, but we'll see how we go. Oh, you have to go soon. Well, look, thank you so much for joining, Lucas. But if you've got anything that you want to talk about or any questions or anything like that, just feel free to chip in on the chat there. And we will try and do this every Sunday, and there'll be other times as well, so keep an eye on the channel. Yep. Don't let me forget, Alan, about the telescope training. You're asking about that again. I think it is a really good idea, and we've got a few people that are keen to do that now. We should do some online stuff, actually. That would be a good thing to do online as well, actually. We could do it through these sessions. I want to get through this housekeeping stuff so we can talk about some other things. Music. Any musos out there? I'm having an awful time with getting copyright claims on my YouTube channel. It's just a nightmare. Even though I buy the music, I get the rights, I have the licenses, I keep getting copyright claims. What I am looking for is someone who can provide me with some original music that just has no copyright issues at all. It's not online anywhere else. Anyone in a band or anyone that can provide some music for me for the introduction part, that would just be a lifesaver for me. So let me know if you if you can help out at all there. Now, Casey asking, what about telescope training? So some people who have bought telescopes here or who've got new telescopes but are having trouble with them, which is the normal thing with a telescope, have been asking me if I can run some sessions to help them out here at the Space Centre. And I'm really keen to do that, especially if you did buy your telescope from me. I want to be able to back that up. So we're going to be running some sessions here just out in the grass area by the Space Centre, so you can practice with your telescope. You can bring your own telescope along or use some of ours, and we can give you some tips on how to use them. But I am actually happy to do that online. I think that to some extent would work. If anyone has any questions about their telescopes, fire ahead. Right, the news stuff. Remember, you can get a heads up on what news things we are likely to talk about. Spacecentre.nz live. I'm getting a slightly better system now. If you have a look at our website where I've got all of the links for the upcoming episode, and I am putting them in the description again. So if you look on the YouTube channel, if you look in the description, you should see links to all of the things that I'll be mentioning throughout the night. Last thing that in the housekeeping stuff, let's see. I'm thinking about changing the name of the channel, the YouTube channel, which is currently Te Awamutu Space Centre, which is really tricky for a lot of people, especially our overseas followers. It's a bit hard for them to try and search for us on YouTube. So I'm thinking of just changing the name of the YouTube channel just to Space Dave. I just wonder if anyone thinks that's a good or bad idea, or if anyone's had any experience changing their YouTube channel name and would have any tips for me or things to look out for. So that's about that. Casey's saying that's a good idea with doing the online telescope, and you're hoping to buy one from me. Awesome. You know where to get it. Actually, hopefully our online shop might be coming back online sometime within the next month or so as well. Wendy, we like the name Space Dave. Thank you, Wendy. Lucas says it's a good idea. And Vision, Space Dave Gaming. Thanks for that, Vision. Thanks for joining in tonight. Space Dave Gaming. We need to talk about some gaming stuff. Remember, if anyone's into Kerbal Space Program or any other space flight games or universe simulation games or anything like that, let me know. I am keen to talk about those things. Lucas is saying it would make it much easier to spell the name. Wendy, you guys like the name Space Dave. I'm going to share a little secret with you guys. Don't tell anyone else. It's just for my YouTube followers. I actually never really liked the name Space Dave that much. I know it's a poor form for me to say that, especially since some good family friends were the ones who started it. They just started calling me that, and it kind of took off. It just never really quite seemed to fit right with me, and I always feel a bit uncomfortable about it. But so does Ellen and Wendy. That's what you search YouTube for, interestingly. Space Dave is sick, says Vision. Okay, well, I mean, it's what I'm stuck with now anyway, so I should just learn to love it, shouldn't I, really? I'll treat it like a body image issue, just learn to love what I've got. Vision saying you're a legend in school, mate. Well, that's nice to hear. Love hearing that kind of stuff. Thank you. So Casey says, come on, it's so you. Okay, I think you guys might have convinced me. Maybe I will do a bit of a name change. So look out for that. I'll try and do it this week, actually, unless anyone's got any really good reasons why I shouldn't do it. Just accept it, says Wendy. Yeah, I will. Now, while we've got Wendy and Vienna there, I just wanted to do a quick shout out to Vienna, actually. So some of you will remember Vienna. She has been into the Space Centre here before, back when we used to have a live audience in the Space Centre here for these things, and she's been a really good supporter, and as have her whole family. So recently, Vienna attended a rainwater harvesting course, and what came out of that was she thought it would be a really good idea to send a letter to our local district council and see if she could get some sponsorship for this. It's a rainwater tank for the local school, Te Awamutu Primary School. And here's a story from the Waipa District Council website talking about exactly how that panned out. That's young Vienna right there in the middle with our Mayor, Jim Milcreast, and a couple of people from the company. I should get their name right, shouldn't I? Oh, what is their name? I can't see it. Um, where is it? It's right. Someone help me out here. Design Tanks. Thank you very much. So they helped out with the sponsorship as well. So what a great initiative. Well done, Vienna. It does show you that things can happen. They don't always, but they can happen when you show some initiative and get out there. Thanks, Wendy, for prompting me there with the name. So I thought that was just a really neat thing to do. Wouldn't it be nice if more adults remembered that you can actually change things with a bit of motivation? Well done, Vienna. Nice work. Okay, now, I hope that's not going to happen very often. I've had a rotten week here. I've been sick. I've had a couple of days off work, and I hope my voice is going to hold out and I'm not going to end up coughing too much throughout this. It's been an awesome week. I had a root canal in the week as well. That was another thing that happened. And I bought a pair of glasses, my first ever prescription glasses that are over there because I paid an arm and a leg for them and they don't work. So I'm back to my $20 warehouse glasses. Anyway, that's enough about my week. So let's talk about some news and things, shall we? So stuff that's been happening this week. Of course, if anyone's got anything that they want to talk about, just post it in the chat. I'm seeing it right down here. So shall we start off by talking about SpaceX? SN11, their latest launch attempt, their test. This was the fourth high-altitude flight test of the Starship prototype. I can't really show you anything about this. It was a really foggy day when it happened, and so the camera views didn't really show much, but it launched fine. It did most of the test. A lot of you will have seen this. The cameras were cutting in and out as well. SpaceX had some technical issues as well. So it was a normal ascent as far as we could see and descent right until about the engine ignition sequence on the way back down, and then they lost it. It blew up. It didn't even stick the landing this time, which was a shame. So Elon Musk did tweet out fairly soon afterwards. It looked like they engine 2 had an issue. In theory, it shouldn't have been needed, but everything went badly wrong anyway. It didn't go well. So he said that they should have known fairly soon afterwards, but I'm not really aware of any updates on any of this. So I can't really show you any video, and the videos that they did have were from sources that I don't have permission to show at this stage, so I can't really show them. But I should point out this outfit, RGV Aerial Photography. A lot of you who follow this stuff will be familiar with these guys. They provide a lot of aerial photography from around the area, and they have got some cool aerial photos of what happened afterwards. So this is showing the complex there. This is an interesting photo. It shows you there's the landing pad over there, and this is some of the debris over 800 meters away. So because it exploded before it had landed, of course, it spread debris all over the place and made quite a mess. So looks like the tank farm got off unscathed, but let's see, we can see a little bit of debris around the place. Go and check it out. The link's in the description. You can see a little bit of debris at the top right there of this shot there, a little bit around the star hopper. A few people have pointed out that it looks like the star hopper peed itself a little bit when some of this debris landed around the place. So it made quite a mess. Right, that's going back to some other stuff, isn't it? So, yeah, not too flash. We won't get too upset about it, but it is all still testing. Sorry, I can't really show you any more about what happened there, but we didn't really see much. So now, SN15, they're jumping straight from number 11 to 15, and that's on its way back to the launch pad, basically. So they dropped 12, 13, and 14, basically because SN15 has got a whole bunch of upgrades, and obviously the team has figured that it made sense to just jump straight forward to that version and start testing that out, and Elon feels reasonably confident that that will address a bunch of the problems. So that shouldn't be too far away. They're trucking on. So Scott Manley did a video, but I actually didn't get around to watching the whole thing. I got sidetracked. The link for that is in the description as well. But honestly, I don't think he knows any more than the rest of us do at this stage. So now I noticed that someone has asked, let's talk about the Mars chopper. We will certainly do that. We will do that quite soon, Casey. Excuse me. So that's about all I can say about what's happening with SpaceX. Hopefully, it'll be really interesting to see what happens with SN15 with a whole lot of new upgrades on it. So hopefully that one does go better. I'm just going to go through a few of the news stories that have happened here. Feel free to chip in. I'm just going to go through the order that I've got here, but we will get to the Mars chopper soon. So the next one was this first interstellar comet to visit our solar system. Now, that's not a good headline, is it? The first interstellar comet to visit our solar system. Yeah, the first one that we know of, perhaps. So I believe this one was discovered in 2019. But anyway, sorry, I'm just going to have a drink here. I think the point with this one is that the comet, which I think I've got a couple of pictures of it here. I'll just go over to these pictures. This comet appears to be very pristine. So it's come from another solar system, orbiting another star outside of our solar system, and it's come through our one. And they have figured out that it almost certainly has not been through any other solar systems. It hasn't been near any other star between its original home and ours, which makes it a really good thing to study. I was surprised that that was a surprise. I kind of would assumed that that would be, if you like, your default hypothesis or what you would assume. But the distances between stars are so great, I would have thought that it would be most likely that it hadn't passed by any other stars on the way here. But anyway, that's what they're figuring out, and they have figured out that the solar system that it came from is probably fairly mixed up in a similar way to ours. I believe that they were examining some of the pebbles and things around this comet, and they have somehow inferred that it is made up of a similar kind of materials that you would expect from our own solar system. So that is interesting. Can't really tell you much more about that. Sorry, Lucas, that you have to go, but thank you so much, Lucas, for joining in, and maybe we might see you back here again in the future. Email us or drop us a line if there's anything that you want to talk about or any questions that you have. I'm going to need more water. Hang on a sec. Might be a long hour, this one. Okay, so that was the first interstellar one. Let's talk about Mars rovers. So, first of all, Curiosity, actually, before we get to Perseverance and what's happening there. Curiosity took a new selfie panorama, which is pretty neat. So this one is next to Mount, have I got this right? Mount Mercou. I'm going to do my best at pronouncing that. It's a rock outcrop about 6 meters tall. That's what we're looking in the background there. Now, I don't know, you probably can't see this very well. In fact, it's right about there. Yeah, the picture's going to be too small. But if you're on a big screen, like Alan is, you may possibly be able to see a tiny little hole there. That is a hole that Curiosity drilled in the ground there to get a rock sample, which I can't remember, but I think there's in the high 30s or something now, the number of samples like this that they have managed to take so far. So, is there much more I can say about that? This area that Curiosity is in at the moment is at the transition between a clay-bearing unit that it is leaving at the moment, and it's heading towards a sulfur-bearing unit that's ahead on Mount Sharp, the 5 kilometer tall mountain that it has landed near. So that's a pretty neat image from Curiosity. Yep, but we need to move on to what's happening with Perseverance. So a couple of things with that. First of all, it's found this really interesting looking rock. No one seems to know exactly what it is. I'll just sidetrack for a sec. Wendy's just pointed out you can watch the rest of the show later, Lucas, if you are still with us before you can go. So that's a good point. And Alan's saying that, yes, you can see that there, which is good information. That's good to know that you can see something that small on your big screen. That will be helpful. So anyway, this interesting rock here, possibly it's a meteorite on Mars. It doesn't really seem to fit in with the surrounding areas. Now, again, you might be able to see, can you see along there, that little line of holes? You'll probably be needing to watch this on a fairly big screen to see that. But that is some drill holes. It has been drilling it into this as well. Zapping it, sorry. It's been zapping it, not drilling into it for samples, but it has been zapping it to try and figure out what it is made of. So I assume that this is using that technique where it zaps it with its lasers, and then it can analyze what comes off, the smoky stuff that comes off it. It can help figure out what it is made of. But my understanding is that so far they don't know what it's made of, but they are working on that. Okay, Casey's saying it looks metallic. What is it? Yeah, well, hopefully we will find out very soon, but it's a fascinating looking rock, isn't it? It's quite bizarre, all those holes over it. It looks a bit like Swiss cheese. So that was the interesting rock that it came across. The big story, of course, is what's happening with Ingenuity, the helicopter that's coming up. The big news is that it has been lowered. So this is a view underneath. First of all, this is the first photo of two. So we saw last week that it was the debris shield. They dropped that, hadn't they? But they hadn't started lowering the rover, the helicopter itself. They've done that now. So they started lowering it down. Then they had to deploy the legs. It took ages. The whole thing went over a period of days. So this was it being lowered down. But the money shot is this one. There you go. So Perseverance has driven away from it. It's left the helicopter exposed, and it's starting to get ready for action. Whoa, this is exciting stuff. I'm not exactly sure when it's going to fly. They've still got a bunch of things to go through. Remember, we talked about it last week. They've got to test the rotor blades and a bunch of other stuff. It has to be able to charge itself. So it's now exposed to the sun, of course. So it needs to be able to charge itself. So it's still a bunch of testing to do, but is looking really, really exciting. And hopefully by next week, we will have a big update on what is happening with the helicopter. So certainly keep an eye out for that one. That's about all I had to say. Let me know if you have heard anything else about what's going on with Perseverance or Ingenuity. But as I understand it, that's where we are at the moment. This photo just came through earlier today. Casey's saying it looks a bit lonely out there. Well, it's got its friend with it, not too far away, but it does a little bit, doesn't it? Yep, that was that. What else have we got? Virgin Galactic unveils new spacecraft. You guys see this one? So there's a video here. Let's have a look at the video. Look, I'm actually going to mute the sound on this because it is the sound that I keep getting stuck with my copyright claims. It's all very dramatic. This is typical Virgin Galactic stuff. Lots of sexy looking shots with, we haven't even seen the ship yet, have we? Here it comes eventually. It is a beautiful looking ship, but honestly, Virgin Galactic often takes a long time at getting to the point with their promotional stuff. They like to hype it up enough. I'm getting bored with this video, actually. Maybe I'll just show you a picture of it. I will. Let's just have a look at this. This is what it looks like. This is what we were waiting for. So this is the new version. They're calling this one Imagine, VSS Imagine. It's very similar, of course, to the previous versions. And they are hoping to commence with ground testing with glide flights this Northern Hemisphere summer. The press release said the breakthrough livery design allows Imagine to mirror the surrounding environment as it moves from Earth to space. All very dramatic and moving again. I don't know. What do you guys think of the reflective design of this versus just the old white exterior? I think it's kind of nice. I don't know if I'm entirely sold on the whole thing, but yeah, I think it looks cool. But anyway, we want to see it fly. That's what it's all about. So hopefully something will happen with that later this year and we'll finally start getting some action from Virgin Galactic. If you've been following this for a long time, you'll recall that Virgin Galactic was pretty much the first private company to really go all out, saying that they were going to be offering space tourism. And unfortunately, it just hasn't really happened for them. But yeah, hopefully this is getting us one step closer. Now, someone mentioned down here, let me see, Alan mentioning there's a small piece of the Wright brothers flyer attached to the copter. Thank you for that. Now, did I save the picture that I had of that? I may not have done. I'm just looking back through the pictures that I had from previous weeks. I might have deleted that one. But you're absolutely right. A tiny little piece of the original Wright brothers flyer is actually on the helicopter. So what happened, as I understand it, was that the Wright brothers, after their initial flight, auctioned off little parts of the original flyer as a fundraiser to help them fund their ongoing activities. And NASA managed to get hold of a tiny, tiny little bit of it, and it's actually on the flyer. So the first powered flight on another planet is actually carrying a piece of the first powered flight vehicle from Earth. I think that is very cool. Thanks for pointing that out, guys. So who else have we got? Lieutenant Smivo, is it? It might be ready for flight next decade. Yeah, it's hard not to be skeptical, isn't it? I assume that you are talking about Virgin Galactic there. So it has taken a painfully long time. I feel for Richard Branson, actually. You know, he really put his money where his mouth is when he backed them right at the start here and bought into this. And it's a real shame it has taken so long, but good on him for sticking with it. Alan thinks it looks a bit like Space 1999. Casey's thinking it looks very Hollywood. You're right, Dave, overblown. Yeah, hopefully it will fly. People often ask me, actually, would I be keen to go into space and, which is an obvious yes, which vehicle would I like to fly in? I'm not convinced that this would be the first vehicle I would jump in. Don't know. What do you guys think? If you had to pick a vehicle to go into space with, would it be this one? I think now SpaceX would have to be the leader there, wouldn't they? A Falcon 9 would have to be your best, safest bet right at the moment. Starship, yeah, not quite yet. Starliner. Should we talk about Starliner just briefly? So the Boeing Starliner, the competition essentially with SpaceX's Falcon 9, which has been plagued with delays, was due to have their next test around about now, April 2nd. They said no earlier than April 2nd. I have not heard anything about it flying. So I assume that flight has not gone ahead yet. If anyone, I did have a little check earlier today, but I couldn't find any updates about what's happening with Boeing Starliner. So if anyone has any inside information about that, do let us know. A couple of you are thinking Flash Gordon. It does look like Flash Gordon, doesn't it? Actually, that's a good take on that one. The Virgin Galactic ship, it does have shades of Flash Gordon, very much so. Boeing Starliner, they're supposed to be carrying astronauts later this year for the first time on board a ULA Atlas V. So let's keep an eye out for that and wish them all the best. What else have we got here? We've got, there's a video that came out from Rocket Lab. I'm going to take a risk and show you this video because I think it is worth looking at. The risk that I'm taking with this, again, is the blimmin' music. Now, I have written permission from Rocket Lab to show their videos. The problem, well, look, I won't bore you with all the details. The problem is that even having written permission doesn't get you past the YouTube algorithm. So let's show you this and hope it doesn't cost me a copyright strike. Let's have some.
Rocket Lab is supporting NASA's mission to return humans to the moon. Launching on Electron this year, NASA's Capstone Cislunar satellite will orbit the moon, serving as a pathfinder for Gateway, a moon-orbiting outpost that is part of NASA's Artemis program to return humans to the lunar surface. Capstone's mission is to refine our knowledge of the dynamics of a unique halo-shaped orbit, paving the way for people to follow. The Near Rectilinear Halo Orbit, or NRHO, has an unobstructed view of Earth at all times, and also enables communications coverage of the lunar South Pole, the destination of NASA Artemis astronauts. Most Rocket Lab missions to date have deployed spacecraft to an orbit around 500 kilometers above Earth. But this mission will see us go a little bit further than usual, some 384,000 kilometers further. To get there, Electron will launch Capstone to an initial low Earth orbit. From there, Rocket Lab's Photon spacecraft takes over, providing in-space propulsion to conduct a series of orbit-raising maneuvers. This builds up enough velocity to perform a translunar injection, allowing Capstone to break free of Earth's gravity and set a course for the Moon. After deploying Capstone, Photon will continue on its own trajectory to conduct a lunar flyby, while Capstone will use its own propulsion system to enter a cislunar orbit. Traditionally, smallsats have had to wait years for a rideshare opportunity on a large rocket in order to reach lunar and deep space destinations. With Rocket Lab, the smallsats call the shots, getting a dedicated ride to exactly where they want to go and on their schedule.
NASA is thrilled to be partnering with several small businesses to make this mission happen. That includes launch provider Rocket Lab USA, Capstone mission lead Advanced Space, the CubeSat developer Tyvek Nanosatellite Systems, the propulsion system provider Stellar Exploration, and several more. Together, we are expanding the reach of small businesses, small spacecraft, and small launch vehicles.
It's so cool, isn't it? It's just so awesome. Lucas, you're back. Nice to see you back, Lucas. Now, in case you missed it before, Wendy did point out that you can go and watch any of these shows afterwards if you have to go away and you can't see the whole thing live. So, yeah, it's so exciting that Rocket Lab is gearing up to send things beyond low Earth orbit. Just such an awesome thing. Casey, why land on the moon's south pole? Are they looking for water ice? That's a great question, Casey. Now, that is certainly part of it. Is that the whole part of it? I'm not sure if it's the entire part of it. I should have a better answer for you than that. I know that is at least part of the reason for wanting to go near the South Pole. Now, the original Apollo missions, of course, were all on the near side of the moon and all kind of roughly around the equator because that was the easiest way to get there. The big difference, or it was the easiest target, I should be saying, around that part. It was much harder to try and get to either of the poles. One of the big differences with the whole Artemis program and having that gateway station orbiting the moon is that they will be able to target any part of the moon for landing. That's a big difference. So the idea is that the astronauts will go from the Earth to the gateway, the station that's orbiting the moon. The gateway itself can change its orbit. So it will be able to target different parts of the moon. So that's a big, big step up from where they were in the Apollo days. Now, tell me if I'm pronouncing your name wrong, Lieutenant Smivo. I'm going to call you this time, Smivo. Sorry if I get that wrong. But orbit around the moon, not the Earth. Yes, thank you for that. Good stuff. So this is opening up all sorts of opportunities, isn't it? It's exciting stuff. I'm really, really looking forward to Rocket Lab venturing beyond low Earth orbit. So, yeah, I just wanted to show you that video. What else is coming up? We've got, hang on, let me just have a look at, make sure I'm not missing out on anything over these tabs that I've got open over here. There's a busy month of crew rotations at the International Space Station this month. Plenty going on there. So there's actually 2 missions coming up. Excuse me. So we've got, what have we got? So on the space station, let's just go back a step, actually. First of all, we've already got a SpaceX vehicle, Resilience. One of their capsules is actually already at the space station, already docked, of course. So what they're going to have to do is they're going to relocate this capsule. This is at the front of the space station at the moment, docked to the Harmony module. They're going to have to relocate this to a different docking port to make room for the next one that's going to come up and join in. Now, interestingly, in case there's a problem, after they undock, when this capsule, actually, I should just, sorry, to get sidetracked, I should just point out what you can see here. So obviously this is the big capsule part of it here. You've got the nose cone, which is opened at the front here, and this is the docking port down here. So the SpaceX capsule is docked to that docking port. So what they're going to do is they're going to separate it and move it around. But just in case there's a problem while they do that and it can't join up again, it might have to come back down to Earth. So it's going to be crewed. They're going to have the whole crew go into there, get all suited up and everything, and ready to land, come back down to Earth, just in case they can't do the redocking. Hopefully that won't happen and it won't be an issue. So they'll do that. That will move around. Then they've got, what's the next one to go up there? I need to look at my notes here. There are 2 launches. Hang on, I might need to go back to our webpage here. This is Spaceflight Now that we are looking at here. Excuse me. So what have we got here? Someone just tell me in the comments, actually. Hang on, Tristan. Hi, Tristan. Sorry, I missed your message last week. I went back through the chat and I missed you guys saying hi. My apologies for that. Are there currently any satellites orbiting the moon? I don't want to make a fool of myself and get that wrong. So, someone Google it for me. I'm thinking of the likes of LRO and stuff. Someone Google this. This is where we need people in the Zoom chat. Someone can just Google it and tell us, but someone put it in the comments. What space probes have we got orbiting the moon right now? There must be a few of them. So we've got the SpaceX Crew Dragon is heading back to the station, and there's a Soyuz, isn't there, was the other one. So this is the Soyuz crew down here. This will just be 3, of course, and the SpaceX, which will have 4 astronauts going up there. So complete change of crew coming up at the space station. So lots of action, lots going on there. And, of course, my mate Aki. This is a guy that I was lucky enough to spend 4 days with, going back quite a few years ago now. So Aki wouldn't remember me, but I certainly remember him. He was just such a neat guy. And I've got my autographed photo somewhere around here in a frame. So I'm really looking forward to seeing him get back to the station. This will be his 2nd tour on the space station. He flew on a space shuttle as well. Is that all we need to say about that? Yeah, a couple of new crews going back up to the station. This will be SpaceX's, 3rd one, won't it? There was the first test one, then the first official crew replacement. Then this will be like the 2nd of them. So I think I've got that right. Someone tell me if I haven't. So, yeah, lots to look forward to on the happening at the space station at the moment this coming month. So what else have we got? I'm getting near the end of the news stories that I've got here. Anyone... Tristan, we need to get back to your question. If no one else is going to answer it, I'll Google it myself. OSIRIS-REx. You guys remember OSIRIS-REx, the sample return mission to Asteroid Bennu. Have I got that right? I better not get that wrong. Asteroid Bennu. So it's doing its final observation run. So it's been orbiting this asteroid. It's taken its sample stuff. It's done what it needed to do. It's doing one final run, having a look back at the mess it made on the asteroid, and it is getting ready for its return 2-year journey back to Earth with its sample. So, very, very exciting mission. A return sample mission from an asteroid. Not a common kind of mission. Very rare. Very exciting to see that coming back. So, it should be leaving and heading back towards Earth fairly soon. Now, the last web page that I've got here is, coincidentally, we were talking about a similar kind of thing last week, and I mentioned that there was some other drive that some people were working on. So the EmDrive, we've talked about it a lot on the show in the past, actually. It's this kind of, the idea is that it's an engine for propulsion, for driving a spacecraft, that it's a reactionless. It doesn't work in the same way as a reaction engine, which is the normal kind of spacecraft engine. It throws stuff out the back. It pushes rocket fuel or propellant out the back, and that makes it go in the other direction. The theory with this kind of drive is that it doesn't need a propellant. It uses microwaves, and it basically bounces the microwaves around inside this interestingly shaped chamber. So it doesn't need to keep expending rocket fuel all the time. So although it wouldn't have much thrust, it would only be giving it a very, very tiny push. Because you don't need a lot of it, you can build up a lot of thrust over time. It's been a really controversial idea. Some experiments on the Earth have shown that it does provide thrust. Others have said that it doesn't. I believe that at least one organization is looking at testing this in space, which is what I think really needs to happen. That's the ultimate test. But unfortunately, I think according to 3 new papers that have come out, none of them have shown any thrust. And they keep coming back with the argument that I think is not too much of a surprise, and that they are saying that the equipment that they were using to test this basically just had some systematic errors in it. Essentially, they were saying that the way they suspended the drive and everything was showing that there would be some thrust. What happened? It was when they started firing the microwaves, it kind of shifted it was almost like it shifted the center of gravity or something. I can't remember the details, but it kind of shifted everything as if it was thrust, but actually it wasn't really. It was just the equipment that they had. So I'm not sure if it's actually killed the EmDrive. I think that might be a bit premature. I think we still have some hope, but it's not looking good for the poor old EmDrive. So as I say, not really that much of a surprise, but certainly it is a big disappointment. Oh, well, hopefully we might have some good news with that, but yeah, probably not. Anyway, that was all the news stories that I actually had to go through. There's still some other things that I could possibly talk about. I just need another quick drink. My apologies for this. No one's told me what probes are currently orbiting the moon. So I'm going to search for current lunar orbiters, because there should be a list of them. So let's just see what I've got here. So the Chang'e 2, Chandrayaan 1 would be still orbiting. LRO, that was the one I mentioned before, the Lunar Reconnaissance Orbiter. Artemis P1, and 38 more rows. There can't be that many orbiting the moon right now, are there? Well, anyway, there you go. List of that's extraterrestrial orbiters. That's why there's so many of them there. That's too many. No, we just want ones that are going around the moon. So, Sun, Mercury, Moon. Here we go. This is the list that we are looking for there. So that's a longer list than I was thinking of. Oh, okay. Some of them are defunct, aren't they? Yeah, that's why it's talking about all the things that are dead stuff. We just want the ones that are current status. So there you go. If you go to list of extraterrestrial orbiters, go down here, look for the moon, and you want to look for the current status, I guess, and look for the ones that are still active. So there you go. Hopefully that would answer that question for you. That's the kind of thing that I really should know, but there you go. Okay, no one's giving me any other suggestions for things to talk about. We can probably still keep going a bit longer. I'm sorry that if you missed at the start of the show, I have not been that well this week, and my voice is not doing that well. So just apologies for this. Now, I see that no one's bothered joining in the Zoom meeting, so that kind of killed my idea of doing this thing up here. That hasn't really worked. All you're seeing is me. I might actually minimize that to get rid of it. You can still join the meeting if you want to. The details are along here. Just a reminder, those details don't change each week, at least for the time being. So feel free to join in with the Zoom, and you can join in at least 10 minutes before I start streaming. Right, so let's see. I wonder if maybe a quick update on what's happening with the Dear Moon thing. This was someone mentioned going to the moon earlier on today. So I have got my application in to join the mission around the moon. I'm not optimistic. I haven't heard anything back. If I don't hear anything back before the end of April, it means I'm out. What I have noticed is that a couple of other people, including Tim Dodd, the everyday astronaut, and Scott Manley, have both recently made short application videos. Now, that's a worrying sign, first of all, because they've entered, but it seemed to me like they had been asked to make those videos. I had not been asked to do that. That suggests to me that they have made the next stage and I have not at this stage. So we'll know by the end of April. At this stage, though, no, I haven't heard anything. So we've still got a few weeks of hope before that all hope dies completely. So yeah, that was that. I was wondering if it would be a good idea at some stage to be talking about doing reviews of programs, documentaries, things like that. have you guys been watching any movies, documentaries, a series on Netflix or anything else that you wanted to talk about? I don't really get a lot of time to watch a lot of stuff lately, but I felt that I had to watch Resident Alien. Have any of you been watching this? I am kind of a fan of Alan Tudyk. I think he's just fantastic. He was, of course, in Firefly, one of the great science fiction TV series of recent times, and he just absolutely nails this role. I've been really enjoying this. It's basically aliens stuck on Earth. I won't give away any spoilers, but yeah, aliens stuck on Earth, having to try and fit in. A lot of that kind of stuff is pretty standard sort of, that genre, alien on Earth, doing the whole commentary about humans. The aliens are fish out of water and they're commenting humans are weird because they do this. Starts off thinking that humans are sort of inferior, starts seeing some of the merits of humanity and that kind of stuff. I'll try hard not to give any spoilers, but this guy, Alan Tudyk, is absolutely amazing in the role. I think he really, really does a fantastic job of it. It's not for everyone. It's got a kind of a bit of adult stuff in it, so you might need to be a little bit careful of that. But I think it is worth a watch. It's just got to the end of season 1 and it has been picked up for season 2. I would be interested if anyone had any comments about that show or any other recommendations. So, Casey, you'll try and join the Zoom meeting. Thanks for that, Casey. That would be great to have you on there. Even if we can just have a few people just kind of sitting and watching like we had with the live audience, I think it would be nice. And you loved Firefly. Wasn't it great? It just, I'll never get over what happened to Firefly in the end with it being cancelled. It was a crime. Picard is fantastic. Did you watch that? Now, I have enjoyed Picard. I need to catch up on it. I haven't watched it all the way through. I'll tell you the one thing that I don't like about Picard, although I agree entirely, it's a great show. I do recommend it for anyone. The one thing that I think Star Trek keeps getting wrong, and that is they've missed the original point of Star Trek, and it just irks me so much. I hate it about a lot of the later versions of Star Trek. The original thing with Star Trek was the optimism, right? That we've got a future where everything worked out. It's not exactly a utopian vision, but it's kind of close. And we've got Star Trek, which is Starfleet, the Federation, which is essentially a well-functioning organization. It's peaceful. The people are good. It's Star Trek originally was people working together against the problem. That's what made Star Trek great. People finding peace, working together, all of that kind of stuff. And the idea that you could actually have a system that works for the greater good. I just love that about it. It's what made Star Trek what it is. And in Picard, the thing that I didn't like was that Picard, after Next Generation and everything, he has a falling out with Starfleet. It's all bad news and things all went wrong and there's all this conflict and everything. I get it. You have to have conflict somehow. But, well, actually, you don't have to between your protagonists. People can work together against the problem. That works. And I just didn't like the idea that Picard ended up, all this bitterness and stuff in his retirement. That's not what I had envisaged for the captain. I had this whole thing of him having a good retirement or doing good stuff and being happy. He earned it. And it just didn't sit right. It was exactly the same as what happened to Star Wars. What they did with Luke Skywalker was not right. After the end of the original trilogy, 4, 5, and 6, it was supposed to be a happy ending. I'll never get over what they did to Luke either. Anyway, that should have been a Dave has a rant, shouldn't it? All of that. I should have... Oh, yes, Alan saying, yeah, a rant. That's what I should have done. For those of you who don't remember, I used to have a segment called Dave has a rant. I should have saved that one for Dave has a rant, and I should have prepared something. I've blown it. You've missed Dave having a rant. I'll try and get back to it, honestly. If anyone's got some other ideas for things for me to have a rant about. Okay. Right. Alan's saying that you could do the Zoom thing and do the audience thing. That would be great to have you guys. Just like you used to sit in on here. One day we might get the live audience thing going again, but right now I actually have some reasons for not doing that. But if you could join in just like you used to when you came along live, that'd be great. Casey's on board with a rant as well. And Wendy and your team vote for happy endings too. Yeah, it's... I'm going to start my rant all over again. I'd better not. Okay. Excuse me. However, I just do want to say, Casey, that yes, I do enjoy Picard. Love seeing Star Trek, The Next Generation, the proper Star Trek timeline, the only one I really care about that much. You know, I am glad that Star Trek and Captain Picard are back. Okay. Right, so that was that. Was there anything else I wanted to talk about? Oh, look, I tell you what, here's a different thing altogether, just a little side note, and this one really is for people who are in the Tiamutu district. So apologies for everyone else. We have a local cinema in Tiamutu, the Regent Cinema, and it's just the most beautiful, amazing cinema that you have ever been to, I think. It's really, really cool. It's run by a guy called Alan Webb, who I have known since I was a child. He actually was a teacher of mine, believe it or not. For those of you who didn't know that Alan was a teacher before he went into this. Now, the Regent has really struggled after COVID and is in a lot of danger. So if you feel like going and looking up the Regent Theatre Tiamutu on Give a Little and donating a little bit, that would be fantastic, because we do not want to see this cinema close. It would be an absolute tragedy. It's a beautiful place with lots of movie memorabilia and stuff. And I know that Alan just works his butt off for this. He doesn't make any real money out of it. And it would be a tragedy to see it gone. That was that. Okay. Right. Actually, Alan is asking, could I please add in what's in the sky tonight? That's a good point, Alan, and I, funnily enough, was thinking about exactly that just before we came live. I decided not to tonight, but I'm changing my mind as I talk because there's not really an awful lot right now. But let's just fire up Stellarium. Excuse me. So Stellarium, of course, is our planetarium app that I use a lot. To show you what you can see in the night sky. And we can see Mars. All right, straight. If you look towards the northwest, the planet Mars is over there. We're not seeing a lot of other planets. So let's see, Jupiter, Saturn are both morning objects at the moment. So you'll need to get up, I think, around about 6 o'clock or something like that. Sorry, Wendy. I should have said Wendy and or Alan, shouldn't I? Wendy's just pointing out that I'm talking to Alan, but it's actually Wendy there. Okay, so is there much else to be looking at the moment? I mean, the usual constellations and stuff. We're getting good views of Orion, the constellation Orion, which is a great constellation to get started with. If you're wanting to learn the night sky, it's one of 3 constellations that I would normally recommend in the southern hemisphere, at least. The other 2, well, no, in the northern hemisphere. Sorry, this would be one for both. If you're in the southern hemisphere, Orion and, of course, the Southern Cross. We have to go around south to see the Southern Cross. It's on its side right now, and that's definitely a good one to be learning. The other one would be Scorpius, which we're not seeing there at the moment. I can't really see a lot else that we wanted to be thinking about at the moment to see in the night sky. But look, I will try that. Thank you for that. It was Wendy that was asking about that, wasn't it? So I will try and make that more of a regular thing. Even if I'm pointing out a constellation or something like that, it probably is worth having at least a minute or so each week to talk about that. Right. I'm feeling that my voice is starting to get near the end. If anyone else has got anything that they want to chip in with here or ask about or talk about, any other recommendations for good movies and things? Now, Casey's saying, even if there's not much happening up there, it's still great to hear you talking about it. Thank you for that, Casey. Well, in theory, I guess there is always something to look at, isn't there? It doesn't have to be that the planets are in a good position or some conjunction or a comet or anything like that. There's always something to be looking at in the sky. So we certainly could be talking about that. Okay, I'm kind of thinking I wouldn't mind holding out just a few more minutes just so that I can say that I made it till 8 o'clock. But hang on. I might not. I keep coughing into my hand. Sorry about that. That's not very good form. Casey, it's always amazing. Thanks for that, Casey. Right. Maybe one other thing that we could talk about. Should we go in and check on my shares? Let's go and have a quick look. So we've been talking recently about buying shares in aerospace companies. So I'll just go and bring up Sharesies. So I went and did this through Sharesies. So what I did was I bought some shares. I'm not a wealthy person. I didn't get too much, but I did put in $300, which is a pretty good amount for someone in my position, into various shares of companies that are involved in aerospace. Now, a big chunk of that was in Rocket Lab, this one down here. 3 of these they're still waiting to go through, but all of these other ones do have shares in. And so far, I've lost about $14 on the whole deal, so it's not down too much. But interestingly, most of them are actually up. But some of them are down, including poor old Rocket Lab. So here I'm at. This is where I'm at with Rocket Lab. This is about the point here where the announcement was made that it gets complicated. Vector Acquisition Corporation is actually the company that's going to be acquiring Rocket Lab. So at this point, where I'm pointing here, this is when the announcement was made. The shares jumped up a whole lot. It took me a couple of days to figure out how to do all of this and buy my shares and get hold of them. So, and this is what happened, has happened since then. I don't really expect a lot of change in Rocket Lab until something actually changes with the company. Most of the others are up. Boeing's up. Lockheed Martin, the more familiar names I think are up, but a couple of the others are tanking. So, Ashley, I know that you've got, if you're listening, I don't know if you're there or not, but I'd be interested to see hear how your shares are going as well. I know you're having a bit of a dabble in this as well. So I've only been in it for a few weeks now, so don't expect too much. But the idea here is to try and figure out, can you make money out of investing in aerospace companies? I noticed that almost all of them, I think pretty much all of the ones that I've got, are flagged as high-risk investments. So don't throw more at it than what you can afford to lose. Okay, we're only about a minute away from 8 o'clock, so I think I've run out of things to talk about, and I think my voice is going to fail on me. So thanks to nobody for joining the Zoom meeting. We didn't manage to have any luck with that, but Casey's telling me he might give it a go next week. With the Zoom thing, what we're really looking for is to just have a few people there and have it like we're having a live audience, and you can just chip in if you feel like it. So don't feel too intimidated by joining the Zoom meeting. It's not like we're going to put you on the spot and make you try and talk about stuff. But obviously we would like you to, but you don't have to. So I don't think there was anything else that I really wanted to say. Thank you guys so much for joining again. Usual stuff. Please help me out with subscribers and all of that kind of thing. We definitely need a lot more subscribers to keep this going and keep it viable. But I think that is about all I'm going to say for this evening. And my clock's just ticked over to 8 o'clock. So I'm going to call that a night. I'm going to try and keep these going on Sunday nights, but do keep an eye out. Spacecentre.nz live. If there's any changes, that's where it's going to be. That's the official information place for what's happening on the on this whole channel here. So, but otherwise, I'll try my best to do it each Sunday night. Actually, 3 of you there watching tonight. Thank you. Thank you all for joining in. And Casey's saying best show yet. Well, that's a surprise. I wasn't thinking that, but thank you so much, Casey. And thank you, everyone. I've got a habit of drawing the endings out for far too long, so I'm not going to do that this week. I'm just going to say thank you, everyone, for joining, and hopefully we'll see you guys again back here next week. Thank you so much, everyone. See you later.